In these developments, if they did apply their own policy, Leamington would gain 86 affordable homes, which would make a huge difference to those families in dire need of homes below market prices. Now, if you'd heard my maiden speech, you'd be aware that there are around 2,400 people on the housing waiting list in Warwick District, that there are 700 people statutory homeless, and that there's been a 50% increase in rough sleeping in recent years. And for young people, the situation is particularly dire. In 2015, Shelter found that 31% of young adults in the area who are working live with their parents, compared to 25% average in England. Now, some may simply excuse the council for ignoring social and affordable housing, accepting that it is not viable to include them. But that's missing the point. The new office development is not necessary, and it is only that which is disguising the council's claim not to build the much-needed affordable housing on these two sites. The council's outline planning application has managed to wriggle out of the 40% requirement for affordable housing by securing viability appraisals, that great V word, saying that the developments would not be viable if they provided any affordable housing. Furthermore, council are refusing to release the details of these viability assessments on grounds that they contain commercially sensitive information, partly because the developments are a joint venture with a private company. This indeed ignores the public interest in the investment in new buildings. So the council is claiming in these viability assessments that the capital receipts gained from the housing developments is required to fund the building of the new offices. If this is the case, then the council should never have proposed its new office plan in the first place if it did not have the capacity to provide any affordable housing. And of course, there is the broader issue here with the viability assessments, which are allowing developers to avoid requirements on affordable housing across, as I said earlier. Of course, this was a policy introduced in 2012 as part of National Planning Policy Framework, which has been disastrous for the supply of affordable housing, contributing to the housing crisis, and should be dropped. We have house builders such as Persimmon claiming developments are not viable, but then we see the chief executive pocketing a £130 million bonus. Something's not right.
No,
it is clear that there is a fundamental issue with a local authority being both applicant and jury. The planning committee is supposed to be quasi-judicial, but it's evident that, as in this case, planning officers lean on the committee to ensure the application gets passed. How can it be that the department can recommend approval to its own committee on its own project?
Quite bizarre.
Let's be honest, this is not quasi-judicial. Third report Committee on Standards in Public Life, which advises the Prime Minister on standards that should be expected of those in public office, says, we have particular concerns about local authorities granting themselves planning permission, and we believe that there should be greater openness in the planning process. Warwick District Council has done exactly what the Nolan Committee advises that local authorities shouldn't do, and in the case of commercial confidentiality, I think the failure to deliver affordable housing should preclude such exemption from public scrutiny. These proposals, which fail residents in the area in desperate need of more affordable housing, should be dropped. Like all communities, the people of Warwick District have been battered by a programme of government austerity these past 7 years, and local services are being cut. Communities are losing children's centres, social care is at crisis point, and all services are suffering from the cuts. It is no wonder, then, that in such a challenging environment, many people tell me how surprised they are that the District Council is proposing to build a new office. Indeed, I will.
Fiscal environment. Surely, if this proposal, which he's referred to fairly, is intended to save £300,000 per year, it's precisely that's the reason the project should be pursued, because it's precisely that will enable more money to be spent on the services that people want.
Well, my honourable friend makes a fair point, but I think his conclusion is